and welcome to the ToverTon podcast. I am Abby Louise.
And I'm Connor Chadwick.
So, this week we are going to be talking about Molly 2 and listening to Behind the Duvet. After that, we'll be talking to Chelsea Lagan about all her contributions to the world of TT.
And to cap it all off, I'll be talking to Chelsea about Crimson Hunter Volume 4, the final volume, and her time as Julia Breslin on Overton Audios.
First off, I'd like to thank all of our patrons for all their love and support with our audio dramas. You're amazing. We love you. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. So, Abby, how's this month been?
Not too busy, to be fair. Audio-wise, we've kind of slowed down a bit, which is quite nice because we did go for a bit of a hectic spike.
But also in time for the hot weather.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? We trying to slow things down a little bit more, especially as at the moment Queer's releasing weekly, so we're kind of covered on the output side of things, so it's nice for the rest of it to kind of slow down slightly, you know.
Yeah, it was. I think they said something very similar last month, which is it's rolling weekly content anyway, so you're kind of covered there in terms of weekly content. You've got other things working on the background, I imagine. From what I believe you'll probably end up talking to Chelsea about it a little bit later. But the Touched with
a
couple more episodes of series 1 to do, but you've been writing series 2.
Yeah, season 2 we started this week. We sat in the spiltering. That's not a word. It's been very hot. We've been sat in the heat writing Touch season 2. So the first 2 episodes are done of that. So we've just got 2 more to write for that season.
And then yes, because I saw that Chelsea put out a tweet, or both of you put out a tweet about writing. So been on Zooms.
Yes, and torturing our cast as normal because that's how it rolls with the TT stuff, sadly. But yeah, and recording wise, while this is about to be released tomorrow, actually, I'm recording Dickensian episode 7 with my new companion, which has been announced. So yes, I have.
And if you haven't seen it, you're hearing it here for the first time, folks.
I have the lovely Matthew Terrell joining me as Logan. So
Otis.
yeah, we have we call him Otis. Otis Darling is his full name.
Yes, as coined by Chelsea Lagan.
That's true. Yeah. So yeah, we have our first adventure being recorded tomorrow, and it was written by Jed T.E. Rhodes. So
very good.
Yeah, another fun, foolish adventure with Dickensian. That's all I'm going to say about that.
I like the pun there.
Yeah, way there you go. You'll see. So, Connor, how have you been?
I have been well, thank you. I have been very well. I've been mainly trying to. There's just been a lot of work going on outside of audio stuff. So I've been able to get maybe 2 audio dramas edited in a month, which is quite bad for me usually.
Yeah, but sometimes life gets in the way. It's not its fault.
Yes, indeed. I'm hoping to maybe get some editing done a bit later, fingers crossed. But we shall see. But other than that, things have still been coming out on the channel, like Supers Volume 2. You're the super fan of that.
Yay, Supers!
Supers fan.
Wee, see what you did there.
I like how your enthusiasm just disappeared immediately the moment I said that. The ultimate Supers fan.
Yes.
Repeat it again because it's funnier. It's funnier when it's repeated.
Yes.
Anyway, what also came out apart from Supers was also the new episode of Doctor Who Divergence, which had a bit of a horror show about it, if I'm being completely honest.
Oh dear.
Number 1, Sutton wrote it. No offense, Sutton. It's called Doctor Who, and it's got a sex scene in it.
Oh dear.
because it's written as the Torchwood episode, but it's still within the worlds of Doctor Who because it's a
I
multiversal series.
see. Yes, yeah.
Yes, so it's an alternate what if, but for the Torchwood team. So it's written as if it's Torchwood, but it's under the brand of Doctor Who. So a lot of people went into that going, Doctor Who, oh my god, and all this sort of stuff. But the reason why we had a bit of a nightmare was it because Sutton writes too much, and I asked for 25 to 30 pages, and he gave me 60.
Oh dear.
Which is why the episode's 52 minutes in comparison to all the others, which stay within the bracket of 25 to 30. But I have to admit, Sutton, when he gets on a roll with writing, he is very, very good. It's just that he needs something to really grab his attention, like Nidrak. This didn't have Nidrak in it, but like he wrote, like there was a Red Nose Day thing we did with Nidrak and my doctor, the Cravat Doctor, and it was only meant to be 20 pages, and then he wrote 30. Like it was like just something, when you get inspired and everything. But the reason why we had more of a nightmare was because we had to do a really last minute emergency casting, because we had already cast a person who played the role before. It's someone who, again, I thought would have been quite known in the fandom for having done this, but actually more recently it's been discovered that the name isn't really known. For the sake of keeping things clear off our back for mentioning it, I will not mention names, but we had to recast due to some very high controversial information that came out about this specific person. And we had like a month or two until it came out, which of course I usually make things in advance, so it's a bit more difficult to do. But we were very happy to get, which a lot of people, especially the TTers, call Strax. Matthew Barrett came in to play Colonel Peters, and he's also agreed to continue playing Colonel Peters, not just in this Divergent story, but also in the more canon stories moving forward as well, which has been very good.
Happy days. We love a bit of Strax. Strax is good. The man's range is fun. He can play both funny old man and creepy matchstick factory owner.
Yes, that's how I got introduced to him.
And that great. It's a great introduction.
Yeah. Speaking of which, isn't there a segment about this specific kind of story?
Yeah. So the story we're on about is Molly 2, which I better say something really stupid then, which obviously is the second episode of Molly. Flipping idiot. So yeah, if we go now to the Behind the Duvet for Molly 2, that would be amazing. Yeah.
Well, this is our new home.
Well, what is it that you do, Imogen? Other than this matchbox making?
What makes you think I'm not just a regular tart?
Well, what is this place?
This building is my home, and me, my dear, I am the Queen's official rat catcher. Jack Black, at your service.
What's your name?
Molly O'Connor, sir.
Molly.
Oh, I don't want this. I want to go home to Ireland. I hate London. I hate being in a stinking room. I hate having no friends.
You honestly think you would be surviving in London if it wasn't for me?
Alive, alive, oh. Alive, alive, oh. Crying cockles and mussels. Alive, alive, oh.
Hello and welcome to Behind the Duvet for Molly 2, Bound to the Matchers. I am with some TTers and some cast, and we will be talking about Behind the Duvet and all that jazzers like we normally do on Behind the Duvets. Okay, so we have got, if we just go round and we just say who you are and who you played. So, Chelsea.
Hello, my name is Chelsea Lagan, and in this episode I played Molly and Random Whore.
Random whore.
And Random Whore.
Like
Strax.
Hello, I'm Strax. I play the lovely, delightful Mr. B. And if you haven't listened to that before you listen to this, stop. Go listen to that first, because spoilers.
Because obvious. We say this every time, but like, where's the logic of listening to Behind the Duvet before you listen to the audio?
Yeah.
Don't do that. Grace.
Hello, I'm Grace, and I played the wonderful, kindest woman in the world, Miss Elizabeth. She's very kind.
Don't touch that.
Connor.
I'm Connor Chubwick, and I play the isn't it the hotel owner? I can't remember. I recorded it very last minute, didn't I?
Yes, you do. As a last minute replacement. He's the DOS House owner.
Oh, there you go.
The annoyed DOS House owner who just really doesn't want to be there. Kelly.
Oh, hello. My name's Kelly Coyle, and I played Susan, the prostitute, and Molly's best friend.
That's the best intro ever.
Ian.
Can't follow that, sorry.
Wait a minute, never mind.
I'm Ian Harris and I play the priest.
Jim.
Hello, I'm James York and I was the music composer
He is the
for
music
Molly.
man.
I'm Music Man.
And Mart.
Oh, I'm Mart and I play Jack Black, Ratcatcher.
Did you forget you were here, Mart?
Yes, I did. Yeah, sorry, I was half asleep.
Editing.
So
Yes,
we edited as we do now with my side of Behind the Duvet. We just listened to the audio because now we listen to the audio and then we kind of compose ourselves and then start this up. So, Chelsea, hello.
Hello, my lovely.
How did it feel doing a second episode of Molly?
Emotional. Very, very emotional. Like, of course, when Jen said I had to sit there and compose myself, it was me mainly, because obviously I cry and I get emotional and it's great. But like, this story is so different than the first one because it had, it's just, back in Ireland and all this stuff. But now that Molly's actually in London and everything, she's experiencing this entire new world to her that she's not used to. And it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant, but a very emotional episode indeed to listen to. And like the recording process of the whole thing was like, it was on a next level type of thing.
Grace, how did it feel bringing back Miss Elizabeth? Because obviously, so out of all the characters, Susan returns, Mr. B returns, Miss Elizabeth returns, and obviously Molly returns. So how did it feel bringing Miss Elizabeth back again?
I love
like an earlier version of Miss Elizabeth as well.
I love playing a villain. She's so good. Everybody loves a villain, don't they? Especially Miss Elizabeth.
Yeah.
I love playing Miss Elizabeth. She's so great, but I don't like shouting at Chelsea. I don't like it. Well, it's a great acting challenge, it is, but I just don't like shouting at Chelsea. Don't like it.
Strax, Mr. B. Early Mr. B. This is the thing I loved about writing this. So, like, the thing with Molly 2 is it's very much set in the Before Vastraverse. So if you listen to Molly 2 and you want to carry on, go listen to Before Vastra's 1 to 7.
Yes.
Because you see more of Mr. B and you see where they are 10 years after Molly 2's finished. So, Strax, Mr. B returning.
Yeah, Mr. B. He's a lovely man, isn't he?
Lovely.
Yeah. He's... I don't know where he comes from. I honestly don't know where I get this character from. He's a nasty piece of work. Put it that way. And I managed to creep out all the cast, which is Anne and cast's children. Which I apologise. If your child has been seriously affected by the voice of Mr. B, you can call this. There's no number to call. I'm so sorry.
Random number.
Random number. He is twisted to fuck.
I'll say this: I hate writing those scenes, and I hate editing those scenes. I really do, but I know they have to happen.
Yeah. As an editor, I can only imagine how many times you will have heard me saying things like,
Lock the door.
Lock the door.
Whoop.
Stuff like that.
You know it's
That's-
bad when on
yeah.
my like permanent downloads I have Mr. B's office. It's like one of my ones that's always been there since BB3. And it's just like, hello,
Well,
ticking clock.
The thing is, for and probably the same with Grace's character, for a character that wasn't supposed to make many returns, we've had a fair few comebacks. I think
And
I've
I'll say
probably
this,
returned a
this
bit more
isn't
than
just when you think this
Elizabeth
isn't the
has.
last of them either, because they're going to
Yeah.
be back in another spin-off series
no.
next year. Yeah.
Oh,
They're gonna be in Tusks next year. So
yeah, he's I'm a nice person really, but
Tusks.
Molly will
I'm
not be
sorry.
in Tusk,
I'm
but
sorry,
Chelsea will
Chelsea.
return.
Yeah,
I'm
Chelsea will be in
We're
Tusks.
sorry. We're sorry.
I'm sorry that I'm that mean to you. I'm really sorry.
All I got all the way through was Connor texting me like, Abby, what have you done? Abby, what have you done?
Then
I
at the
take
same
it
time, I'm
Connor's
like,
not a fan.
no.
Oh, I've worked with Chelsea a lot, so I'm hearing all these scenes happen. I'm like, I don't like this at all.
I feel slightly violated.
Yeah.
It's like whenever you talk, every single one of us, whenever there's a Mr. B scene, you could just see all of us kind of disappear behind pillows and t-shirts and dressing gowns. It's just like,
Yes, the amount of different actors that we've had in the various different things I've creeped out. I think one person did actually hide behind a pillow. while they were-
David.
David.
David during Molly 1 actually hid behind
A man who
pillow.
loves
No, it
horror.
wasn't Molly 1, it was Cluster.
That was it. Yeah, but a man who loves horror stuff, and I creeped him out, so I'm quite happy with that.
Tick.
Take that. I'll take that. It's fine.
So, emergency casting wise, because I'm just going to talk to Kelly because obviously she was our stand-in / replacement Susan because the original Susan wasn't able to do it sadly, so we had to bring Kelly in because she's a new TTer. Hello, Kelly. You're muted.
Muted
It's
and
'cause my-
recruited.
Right, I'm unmuted.
Yeah, yeah, you're a new TTer. So it's kind of a last minute deal. So you sadly she didn't get to experience live recording. It was literally just me being every character and her reacting to my bad Irish accent. But how was it for you doing your first audio?
Oh, it's really fun. I really enjoyed it. It's something different to what I've done before, but it's something that I like to carry on doing.
Thank God.
And a lot of and listening to the whole story of Molly, I could picture where it was because growing up the road from the Matchstick Factory, I knew a lot of the places that was spoke about in the story. So I could actually image the alleyway and the streets and the bridge and everything.
See, the joys of audio editing. Like, oh, it's so much fun because I go round by that way just randomly because I'll just be like, I'm bored, so I'll just walk past the Match Factory. This lot know. Because they'll just get random selfies of me stood outside the factory like, Abby, why are you there? Like, why not? But research. But no, so Kelly auditioned to be in Match Girls, which is out next year, which is where I was like, hello, would you like to be in Molly as well? And she was like, yes, please. So thank you for that. Much appreciated. And I'm really happy you enjoyed yourself.
Yeah, no, I did. And it's nice meeting all the cast as well.
Aww. Grace.
I'm just glad I've not scared everybody off.
I hope you're not going trick-or-treating tomorrow.
Who, me? Yeah. I should be dressed as Mr. B. Freak out all the children. You imagine that?
I hope you don't listen to
children.
me.
Yeah, I'll be like candy.
So, Mart.
Hello.
Technically, like, this is your first TT production.
Yes, yeah. It is.
Yeah, like for voice. I know
Yes,
you,
it
I
is,
know
yeah.
I know you've written for us before.
I've scribbled a
but
few things, yeah.
Scribbled a few things down. How did you find playing Jack? We all loved you playing Jack. Like I know all of us were like, oh my god. But how was it for you?
It was terrifying to start with, but it was a lot of fun. Once I found the right voice, yeah, it was great. So hid James, basically.
That voice worked perfectly.
It's the only thing I could come up with. So yeah. I'm glad it
I'll
worked out okay.
I'll say this as well. I really want to bring Jack Black into some more things, so don't be surprised if you end up getting a message like, "Do you want to come back?"
No, that'll be great. That'll be awesome. Thank you.
what
That'd be
happens.
brilliant. I don't mind.
Reoccurring character that's not a creepy bugger, so it'd be quite nice.
That'd be different.
Yeah. Refreshing change.
Refreshing change. Ian.
No.
Father Harris, who is called Harris.
It's purely
I
coincidental.
thought long and hard about that one.
I'm being typecast. It was actually quite a therapeutic experience. Now bear with me on that because I know it's quite a distressing, emotional tale we're telling here. But recently I played a hell of a lot of villains and monsters and really nasty characters and just like horrible, nasty stuff. So it was really, really nice to come in and do something nice for these characters and be a nice person. Actually be a human being for a minute.
I'll say this, my favourite line when you delivered was when Chelsea does the whole sorry for cursing father and you're like, you're forgiven, but there's like a slight chuckle. All I can see is just Molly being like, I'm sorry, father. You're like, yeah.
He's like, oh, you're forgiven.
He's a good man.
It was fun. It was fun to do, really, really fun to do, and so nice to actually just hear it. And my God, Chelsea giving birth.
Oh,
can you
fucking
just
hell.
spend a moment going, oh my God? Because that
we did that the day of the script read.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, I was like, it was just me and Chelsea, and she just went straight in and pulled all sorts of positions in that bedroom she's currently in, basically.
It's my little sister's room, and I had my microphone all set up, because of like how, but because I had to like scream and shout and stuff, I was just like, right, I'm gonna stand away back from this microphone. And I took my inspiration from a lot of Call the Midwife episodes. And I remember literally me and Abby just going through the script and everything. And you were like, oh, well, shall we have a wee go, like a wee practice run? And I just flicked through the script and I was like, okay, let's just go. Let's just do it now. And if it sounds bad, we'll do it again. But no, that took one take. And it was the longest, just under 3 minutes of my life. It was the longest thing I've
and
ever
she
recorded
messaged
in my
me the
life.
next day like, Jen, I'm absolutely shattered. Just like she'd actually given birth.
Yeah. I was sweating buckets and everything. I was absolutely sweating. I was just like, here, I don't think I could top that in my audio stuff. It's just like, yeah, giving birth was like, I think the hardest thing that I've had to do.
And it's so well done, Charles. Like, it's crazy. And every single time I've listened to that many a time now, and I cannot not cry at it.
I completely forgot it was
ridiculous.
going to be played whenever I was listening, and I was like, hold on.
I could see the look on your face dawning as if to say, oh no, oh no,
Oh, the cramping.
oh no,
oh no,
oh no, here it comes, so to speak.
But no, it was absolutely amazing to do. It was so fun to do and then afterwards, after I finished recording, my father came in and gave me a hot chocolate, and he's like, I listened to everything, and I'm like, I thought you were going outside. And he's like, nope, I thought I would stay, and I regret that decision entirely. And I was just like, okay, you're welcome. Thank you for the hot chocolate, though. But no, honestly, I don't think I will be able to top that one off unless I have like a really dramatic death or something. But like, yeah, giving birth, that's the top of the list. I don't think I'll be doing that again anytime soon.
You will be doing it again, but not anytime soon.
Yes, but not to that extent.
That's true. Other emergency casting was Mr. Chadwick.
Hello.
Who played the not hotel owner because it's 1800s London. I'm going to give you a lecture about doff houses now, Connor. Are you ready? So you once again, this is the disadvantage of having to do emergency casting. He had to do it the old-fashioned way, where he just sent it in. So he didn't have the joy of calling Chelsea a whore live.
It was only a 10-minute wait though.
It's true.
You sent me the script and you had it.
Yeah,
written.
literally, you just recorded it there and then. I was like, oh, okay, happy days. So
It was,
that was like,
it
that's
was 9
quite
a.m.
nice.
and I was like, I've got nothing else to do. And then you're like,
I literally went on the Talking Heads Facebook chat and I was just like, anybody free? And Connor's like, there you go. I was like, oh, happy days. And the next thing you know, he's having to call Chelsea a whore. So, you know, it's just an average
I
Tuesday.
was like, Mr. Chadwick.
I was just like,
How dare ye?
How dare you?
Yeah, I hadn't really acknowledged what I'd done until after. I was like, wait, hang on a minute, that was Molly. It's like, oh,
I'm sorry, Chelsea.
yeah, yes. And then I got a message from Chelsea going, "How dare you?" And I'm just like, oh, okay, well,
Sorry.
right. Yeah.
Welcome to TT.
Indeed, I'm here.
He's a TTer now. He's crossed the barrier.
Yeah, but I really enjoyed the audio. It's been a very
you.
emotionally wrecking
Traumatic.
hour and a bit.
You can say that again.
So, Jim, music-wise, I know.
Hi.
So, there's only one track that was a new track, which was the Molly Birth track. Everything else was stuff picked and chosen from various BVs that you'd sent me like over a year ago.
Oh my god, it's been a year.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Well, the BV4 came out in the December.
Right.
So
Yes, that was very
recycling of tracks.
Yeah, and it's quite good because in a way, it's linking the two universes. Well, it's in the same universe, but it's linking the two series together. And I think I mean, I wish we had the reaction of a certain track called Drip. Was it called Drip?
Yeah, Splish Splash Splosh.
Splish Splash Splosh, there we go. Inventive title. And literally I was like, yes!
I love that
song!
track far too much. So that track is in Before Vastra 2 when Susan, Alice and Jenny go for a paddle in the Thames. And I was like, there's a scene set. And they literally sat on the edge of the Thames. And I was like, I'm going to use that track. But I lowered the pitch and I slowed it down because it wasn't like... The original track was made for like a really sunny, hot day in London, and obviously this track was made for like January, sat by the Thames, so it had to be a little bit different.
And in a way, that's quite nice that you lowered the pitch and slowed it down because again, it's a distorted way. That's, I think, as a composer, that's great to hear. Sometimes people do that with your music because again, originally it's a very happy sound, very happy, oh lovely, oh having a lovely little splashy splash around the river.
Just change the like tone of
and then, the way you change the tempo and change the pitch, it's like, this is not no, we don't want this, no.
And the other track that I remember the name of that I used, there was a lump that I said there was quite a few Before Vastra tracks that I used, but the one where just before Molly storms out of the house to go to the bridge was called Molly's Rage, and it was the same track that played in the background of the argument between Miss Elizabeth and Molly in Before Vastra 4.
And that's great,
yeah.
Oh,
it's so good to listen to these like tracks again.
Did you hear the sneak? Did you hear the sneak of the Before Vastra theme tune?
Yeah, I was like, ooh, there it is.
Put them all in there.
Oh, I
so
love it.
seriously, if like I said at the beginning, if you have listened to Molly 1 and 2 and you want to know more, if you listen to Before Vastra, it's mainly centered around Jenny, but up to BV4 does have a lot of Molly's story in it as well. She does pop up after BV4, I hasten to add, but in other entities you will find out when you listen to it. But yeah, Molly and Jenny, well, they're in clusters. If you listen to Cluster and stuff, Molly appears a lot, so they are besties. Let's face it, they are besties. But the other music was done by somebody I used to know from church, and he wrote the Charlie name reveal song and the wedding song. So,
but they're so good as well, so amazingly done.
So yeah. Does anybody have anything they would like to add or talk about? because my brain has gone all mushy. Apparently.
How does it feel to go back before Vastra?
Before Vastra.
Before Vastra.
Coming
How does
soon,
it
before
feel to
Vastra.
kind of give Cathal and Molly the backstory? How obviously because you probably had it in your head whilst writing before Vastra. How was it?
I remember saying when we done Behind the Duvet Molly 1 that I wish that I could have shown more of Jenny and Molly's relationship, but because of what Before Vastra was meant to be, it was more about Jenny and Vastra, even if it showed like the Jenny backstory. So I couldn't show too much of Molly. But I remember saying to Chelsea after we recorded BV2, because they talk about Molly being pregnant and then coming over. Basically, they do like an abridged version of what we've just seen. And I remember being to Chelsea like, I might do some spin-offs. And then Chelsea was like, yeah, sure. But I didn't really know Chelsea at the time, so she's just like, yeah, okay.
No,
So
I
then this
absolutely
happened.
love it.
But
It was amazing.
I say there's definitely going to be. She's another one that's just going to magically appear at points. Is Molly, because Jenny and Molly, they're their own like dynamic duo, ain't they? That's them. Yeah. But no, it was nice. It was nice to show kind of, and I wanted to end it on a happy note because the original draft did end with the bridge scene.
Oh,
yeah, no, you need a bit.
And I was like, no, for once, I'm going to give Molly a happy ending because it doesn't happen very often with her. So
well, it doesn't happen very often with your writing.
That's true.
I was just about to say, Abby,
true.
Happy ending. What is this?
I don't know. The script I've just written that I can't talk about has a happy ending, so it's not all doom and gloom. Just if there's Molly involved.
It's just if there's just Molly involved or anything.
Molly makes a friend. Oh no, the friend has died. Molly makes
That's
another
basically
friend.
what happens, isn't it?
The friend has died.
Molly makes a friend, she dies. Molly makes another friend, she dies. Molly's friend with Jenny. Stay tuned.
It's like what's the name? It's like not Lucifer, but like there's a
no, that's Mr. B.
No, but like I've said previous, if there's like a scene, because you'll see it when Match Girls comes out, I did exactly the same thing. If there's a scene where it's, you mean so much to me, you're my bestest friend, that person's gonna die.
So they're basically your equivalent of a red shirt person in Star Trek.
Basically.
Right,
just put this red top on.
Like, oh no, they're gonna die.
It's like, oh, they just had a lovely, oh, for crying out loud.
It's dead, Jim.
Dead, Jim. Anything else that needs to be added? Anyone? Any more questions?
No, I just wanted to say that I really appreciate you giving Molly the story because I absolutely love this character so much. I really do. And even though like the birthing scene was just like on another level, it's definitely like, you know, opened my eyes more to like what you can do with like voice acting and everything, like everything just. But there was another thing as well with like, especially with like, you know, like the baby sounds and everything, how they match so well with everything. And like, I think you even like, you know, like shocked yourself of how good it like really sounded all together. But no, honestly, I just absolutely loved being a part of this journey with Molly. I really do. I love her to pieces. I always cry at it.
It just makes it worse, people, because me and Chelsea definitely know where all of this is going, so it just makes it 10 times worse.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we don't talk about it.
We don't talk about it. And on that note, thank you for joining us Behind the Duvet.
Mm-hmm.
That was the cast of Molly 2. Goodbye.
Hello, welcome back to the podcast. We're talking about Reanimated 2, and who else would we be talking to, Abby, other than Chelsea Lagan, who has written and directed and edited Reanimated 2.
Previously on the Reanimated.
Doctor, how is she? How is my daughter?
We did all that we could, sir, but her wounds were too great. She passed away shortly after she arrived. I am so sorry.
Mother, you'll be alright. You'll be alright. Please don't cry.
We should have brought her right away. We should have brought her straight away, but we were insisting on squabbling like a.
Get a hold of yourself, woman! The man did the best that he could. Look at us! We are drenched from head to toe in her blood. He couldn't have done anything, even if we got here sooner.
Hello,
Reanimated 2
everybody.
is just Chelsea Lagan. We love it.
Yeah, it's me. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast.
So recently we had Reanimated 2 come out, and as we said, it was written by and directed and edited by Chelsea Lagan. So let's talk about the release in general. Chelsea, how does it feel
Hello.
being in charge of your own series?
Scary. I'm not used to being in charge of anything. I kind of freak out when I'm left in charge of something. But with Reanimated 2, all was brilliant. It was just like everything just like came to me like a dream. And literally just my hands started typing and everything, and we had it done very, very quickly. But it was so good.
I will say this, because I was sat there whilst Chelsea was writing, and it was just literally like she just didn't stop, like the
I
kids
know.
like the kids in school reunion when they're all just like typing
Yes,
speed.
that
Is
was
literally what it was.
Accessing the
was literally
Scasis
me.
paradigm.
Literally, she was just like, duh, 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 duh. She just see these words on this document just keep going on and on and on. And I was like, where are you
Because-
going with this, Chelsea? And she was like, I don't know.
Because when you both did Reanimated 1, you both wrote it, but you were both talking and writing over a Google document. But with this time round, it was still via a Google document that you were both looking at. But in this scenario, Chelsea very much just went, off I go.
Well,
And-
yeah, we did this one slightly different. We didn't actually have a Zoom with this one.
Yeah.
We basically both had the document open, and I just said, crack on, Chelsea, and so she did.
Yeah, I just stick on music in my AirPods, and I don't even know what comes over me. It's just like I just type away. I just keep on typing, and it just happens.
What was your let's say musical theme for this? What was your favorite track to listen to for when writing this
here.
particular episode?
Honestly, Professor Layton, the Curious Village soundtrack. It's a game that you can get on the Nintendo DS, and I just
Ooh.
love the games. I love the games, so I just constantly. I have it on my phone at the minute. Just on my playlist, it's just like right. I stick that on whenever I need some musical writing inspiration, and I don't even know what happens. Just my brain goes into like Kickstarter mode, and I just go ahead and type.
Though, that seems to be whenever Chelsea's writing, because we just started writing Touch Season 2. Season 1's not even finished yet. However, we started writing Season 2, and
Always
even
the way.
then, she was there with Professor Layton playing in her ears in the background, like.
That's it. I just can't write without him. I'm sorry.
To be there.
That's it.
Because
No,
I
I'm
do
very happy
remember-
with it.
Because I do remember, shout out to the cast.
Oh, don't even start with the cast. They are absolutely unbelievable. Unbelievable. Like, they have come so far, especially because I remember, especially Raslon Productions, Rory. Big shout out to Rory. He was in one of the very first things that I was in, TT Scarlet Lust. And he was in it with me, and I was a vampire, and I was going to suck his blood, blah, blah, blah. And honestly, he has come so far. He is absolutely unbelievable. All the cast is unbelievable, and I couldn't have wrote Reanimated 2 without them in my mind. I couldn't have it with any other cast. I really couldn't, and I feel bad that I keep killing them off. But oh well, it is what
it's
it
a
is.
zombie apocalypse during the 1840s. It was never going to end well, was it? Let's face it.
The one thing I'm not a like an expert on Victorian London, but I do know how to write gory scenes. I know how to write gory scenes and
She'll
make
be
it
like,
sound all
Abby, did they have this in this time? And I'd be like, no. She'll come up with an alternative. I'd be like, I can't remember what it was you were asking. And I was
super
like,
glue.
what? Super glue.
Did they have sticky tape or super glue? No. All right, bandage it is then. And you'll find that out whenever you listen to a certain episode of something.
Yeah, that's not Reanimated. That was another thing we were writing.
You've both got a bit of a cycle when it comes to writing, where basically, Chelsea, your thing is Reanimated, and Abby, your thing is The Touched, but you both work on them in it's like almost like with Reanimated. I think we talked about this before, but like with Reanimated, Abby supports Chelsea and vice versa. Chelsea supports Abby with The Touched.
Have you heard of the orphanage? The orphanage is there for the touched, the gifted. They are mainly there for safety. We try to use our powers to help the world around us.
You don't look like you're touched.
Should we have a look?
I teleport. You're touched by water.
And I can control animals. Amelia eels. Jane has telekinesis.
Jane?
Just a small demonstration.
Well, all my bad thoughts about you touch people might magically disappear if you could help me.
We aren't circus freaks, sir.
If you're going to point the finger at anyone from the tower again, I swear to God.
For once, I haven't come to arrest one of you. Magpie.
Yeah, we kind of like tag team it between like directing and producing, and that's kind of like
it's like we just help each other.
Yeah, especially with The Touched, we tag team it between the editing as well. So yeah, it's nice to distribute the work, because we've said this before. Me and Chelsea, when it comes to writing, we're kind of on the same wavelength.
We're on the same page. Yeah. It's like you'll do like who was it? Was it you that did? No, I did episode 1. Or did you do episode 1?
Is that I've touched. Yeah, I did 1, and then
we just do, swap back and forth. It's
editing wise, you edited 1 and I edited 2. Yeah.
Again.
And then vice versa. Reanimated 1 was
Reanimated. I done 1,
Reanimated
Chelsea done 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good way that we work, though. Like, we work together. Me, I just know how to bring the blood and gore and stuff. You like, but this is historically accurate.
I'm the boring one. I'm the one that's like, no, Chelsea, there was no super glue. Like,
I'm just the one that makes everybody uncomfortable listening to squishy sounds and crunchy sounds.
The amount of squishy sounds that we've got downloaded on Epidemic, it's slightly scary to be fair.
It is very scary. It is.
Is this also the first audio that you've directed as well, Chelsea?
No. My very first directing audio was R101.
Yeah.
Coming soon from TT Productions.
The crew of the airship R101 is readying His Majesty's magnificent ship for her first voyage, making her glorious way into the jewel in the King's Crown that is Karachi, India.
Look at her. It's crazy you get to fly in that. The R101. You're making history on your sail today. You know that, right?
You seem in high spirits.
Excited to get going, sir.
Good day to you fine men and boys. I would like to say this to you all now. I am proud of all of you.
Yeah, that rain's getting heavy on the sheets, isn't it, Adams?
Lines ready, sir.
Is anyone getting an quite ominous feeling?
We are down, lads! We are down!
My
TT Productions, bringing adventures to audio.
That was my very first one. I was very nervous about that because beforehand I didn't know anything about it. But once I got to learn more about it, I have to say the cast for that is absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
The way that audio worked, I was beyond proud of everything.
Oh, tell me
the
about
whole thing. Oh, yeah, listen to that one. It is an emotional one.
A very emotional one.
But
And
once
historically
again-
accurate.
And historically accurate. But once again, the cast, they're all lads as well. There's one female in the whole cast, and they were brilliant. Every single one of them.
They blow it out of the water, honestly. It's like we're very lucky to have the people that we do and how talented they actually are, especially for these audios, especially when they mean something, like R101 especially. And it's like we are very lucky to have them. Very lucky. And we couldn't have any other cast bar them. I couldn't see us working with anybody else bar them.
But
they were absolutely fit.
That's the same with Reanimated though.
Mhm.
But some of that, like we were saying before, some of that cast have like Catherine Powell, who we call Mabel for reasons.
Oh, I'm Mabel.
She's another one that's literally like full on fledged, and Jed's in that as well, and Vanessa, who plays Vastra. She's in that as well as like a giggly nurse, which is completely the opposite of Vastra.
Completely different. Different. But it's just like, you have these characters that you create, but you also have a person in mind as well. And it's always like, one point of either their acting or, when they're out of acting and you're sitting there on a Zencaster or a Zoom with them and you're like, oh, this would be a good shout.
It's like when we started writing the Doctor for Reanimated 1. As soon as I wrote it, and I was like, it's got to be Jed.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it has to be Jed. And we
It was
were
just
even
written
reading
like
it
Jed.
together. We were reading it together, and I was like, this is Jed.
Yeah.
I can't, it's not anybody else. It was even there with Mabel, Catherine. She played Cora in Reanimated. And the way I wrote it, it was kind of just like, I wanted to make her different than Mabel.
Mabel's in Tusks, FYI.
Yeah, Tusk, London.
Okay.
Just letting everybody know. But yeah, I just wanted to make her totally different, but obviously I had to add my own sticker flair from and you know what? It was just such a perfect fit. Like the minute she opened her mouth to record her lines, I was like, this is it.
She's
It was
like
absolute perfect casting.
She's like 1840s Ace. 100%.
Ooh.
Literally, if anybody was going to beat up a Dalek with a baseball bat, it'd be Cora.
But I definitely wanted.
Except it's
to
the
give her a bit-
1840s, so it would be more like a shovel.
I wanted to give her a bit more, like, see, compared to Reanimated 1, she was very timid, very shy and whatever, and then Reanimated 2, I wanted her to build her confidence a bit and kind of have a backbone in her own way, especially, well, if you've listened to Reanimated 2, when she has a backbone with Ian's character, Theodore. Whenever he's like, oh, women this, women that, I want to talk about
He's the
them.
epitome of man at the time, and he's like, women should know their place, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And Cora's kind of like, excuse me, no. It's great.
Exactly. And she just plays the character so well. So well. And, honestly,
Casey
so
Haynes.
good. Oh, don't even start with Katie Haynes. Katie, if you're listening to this, you are absolutely fan-bloody-tastic. I'll say this about every single member of the cast. I will say this about every single member, how amazing they truly are. And they don't realise how really brilliant they are. Like, especially Reanimated 2, I don't know what happened. They just completely, went out of their comfort zone and just completely, just shone throughout this whole entire thing. It was amazing. Absolutely incredible. They're just so talented people.
But also, Chelsea, you've also edited this one, but you've edited quite a few audios before this. Like, obviously, when we talked about the writing just now, you've been writing for the Touched and Reanimated at the same time. You've been you've directed R101, and you've done a couple of as well, and before going on to Reanimated 2. But this is from what I can see, it's your 5th audio that you edited, and you started editing 8 months ago with the importance of being
Jesus.
Strax.
That one.
But it's been a big build up of learning small bits and pieces about the edit, like doing a couple of pat bites here and there, and now here you are with Reanimated 2. Talk to us about that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I kind of had. Well, how did I start this? I always had an interest in the technical side of performance. So whenever it came to me going to tech and everything, I always wanted to be the person that done lights and sounds. So that's kind of where I liked being in the background as well, doing, providing the atmosphere for actors and whatever. So I think this kind of moved on, and then it was Abby that gave me the option of wanting to do editing. And I thought, you know what, I would give it a go. And it was like Abby that taught me a lot of things, especially it would be on Zoom screen share. She would show me things, I would write it down. With pat bites, they're only a couple of minutes long. So even if I didn't do a good job, it wouldn't be that bad because I would have Abby check over everything, and I still do it now, to be
I will
quite
say
fair.
this: that's how we try to train a lot of our new editors. They
Yeah,
start. with
it's
pat
like
bite.
one-on-one. It's
Yeah.
one-on-one stuff. So in my first edit was the importance of being Strax. Now that one, I think it was definitely a difficult one for me to do because there was so much atmosphere and sounds involved in that, but it was really a good learning tool for me to start with pat bite. And having, for me, I think the main thing was I wanted to show somebody telling the story element versus going into the actual story. So it's like somebody narrating, telling the story, and then obviously having the sound effects and all in the story. It was definitely a hard one for me, but I very much enjoyed it. And then obviously the next one I did, I believe, was Outcast Dead.
Yeah.
That was the next one, and I think that was like one of the pinnacle audios that I was just like, you know what, I really want to do this more. And it also started another thing. iconic thing that happened in Outcast Dead was a scene that Strax was checking his basically device, because Vastra said that, to set the scene, they were in a graveyard, and Vastra said that, these were the Winchester geese. This is where the Winchester geese was buried. And Strax was like, let me look at this device and see what this is about. And for just plain funniness, I just had this thing there is typing buttons, so it was like boo 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 boo, and obviously because geese was mentioned, I put in a honk, and it in the audio, so it's like honk, and he's like geese, waterfowl, and I don't know what just appeared into my head, but every single audio that I've done since then has a quote unquote hidden honk. Hidden honk. Every single audio that I've made after then has about maybe 3. I think the most that I've done is 6. So 3 to 6 hidden honks in the audios. So I always remind everybody in the comments, or even the live comments whenever we're having a premiere on YouTube, it's just like, listen to it again for the hidden honks, because they're definitely in there. But it's just
you
a recurring
hide
thing
them very
now.
well, admittedly.
I do. I hide them very well, but if I can hear them, everyone else can hear them. They're just not listening hard enough.
It is fun. It is fun.
The only times
It's like Chelsea's signature. That's basically her
It
signing
is.
off her work.
It's the blue CAZOO signature thing where it's just like hidden honk. And I love the hidden honk so much that I've got a t-shirt with a goose that says honk on it, just for the hidden honk.
And he calls up to the sky.
That's it.
Jimmy's got one as well now.
I know. There he
It's like
goes. He's
becoming
part of the.
becoming a TT fever.
It is. It's just
His
a hidden
one, his
hole.
one looks a little bit. His one looks a bit more communist.
Oh, that's
yes,
all right.
it does. It does.
You look at it and
Mine's
go, "Oh, it's just a
narrationalist.
regime."
Oh, it is.
It's
It's
just,
a way of life.
it's just the blue. It's the blue CAZOO and the honks.
We need a
marching
t-shirt.
down the street.
We need a t-shirt with a goose with like a blue tuft of hair.
Oh, a blue white.
Yeah, like a blue long hair on a goose.
Don't give me ideas. I will get somebody to edit that, and I will put that on a t-shirt.
We could always ask. We could always ask Dan. Dan can Photoshop it.
Oh Jesus! Can you imagine? I just got my hair dyed today. I should just take
Yeah.
pictures of my hair and put it on a goose.
Too right.
But no, it's Hidden Honks is always a part of a blue CAZOO edit.
After that, obviously, was your biggest one that you had to do. So, like, your biggest one that just your next step into editing, basically. That was your
Modus
first
Operandi.
episode. Yeah.
Visit Vian's Vintage Village, the best view of the Tratanese Nebula available from any space station. Why not take the whole family and enjoy our restaurants, bars, and vintage technology museum? All this and more available on level 27. Unidentified capsule in the shopping area.
Oops. Sorry, I was aiming for level 30.
Modus Operandi, and Ian's script, a Sticky Man script. Oof, so many big words.
Yes.
Oh,
It's very
that one.
specific.
That I think that was one of the most challenging scripts that I've had to edit. Mainly because one, I'm not really a big Doctor Who know-it-all person. So it was mainly me reading the script, me jotting down possible sound effects that I can use while I'm at work, and I'll come back to it at a later date when I am editing it and, fit stuff in. But it was more that I can... On Epidemic, we use Epidemic for music, so that episode in particular gave me the opportunity to look at Epidemic more.
Yeah.
And look at it at a deeper level and have music and everything, but it's also having my own twist on things.
Yeah.
Because I don't know a lot about, Doctor Who and the lore behind it.
But I will say this,
it's like a
because
fresh
you're
perspective.
kind of in the same position as me, because believe it or not, I don't edit or write a lot of Who. So, shock, horror, gasp. But the thing is, me and Chelsea tend to edit stuff that's a period drama. And editing a period drama compared to editing, literally, Modus Operandi was literally set on a space station, so it's such an alien concept to go from, like, streets of London or whatever to
Which have about 4 hidden honks in it, by the way.
Yeah, of course, it's still there.
Of course.
Yeah, it's a completely different ball game doing a spacey sci-fi thing from a period drama,
I think it's like
specifically vintage sound effects though.
Yeah, steampunk, futuristic. It's
yes,
a mixture, isn't it? Yeah.
It was like, honestly, whenever it comes to music, I usually have a bunch of keywords written down that I'll just go around, and just have like a bit of an idea of what I want. And I'll go through 50 songs, and there will be that one song that's just like, you know what, this fits perfectly.
So the thing with the Dickensian stuff, because we can't. It's both. It's Epidemic and Jed.
Yes, and Jed's
well,
music.
Yeah.
I don't know how he does it, but he makes music fitting it so well before I've even edited it together.
Literally, the theme he done for Dickensian is so on the head it hurts me.
It's so good, so good. But yeah, it was a very challenging script and episode to edit because there was so much going on at the same time. I think for that one I've used about maybe 150 different sound effects for that, because it was the one that took the longest to edit. Because obviously I have my own life. I have my own life going on, and every single edit that I do, I always go to Abby and be like, right, I want you to listen to this. I want you
She'll
to
send like scene by scene, like to make sure it's
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah, just to see, but it's definitely helped me improve and get me more confident in the work that I do. And especially for Reanimated, I think I was happy with the very first draft. There must have been about 2 edits that I'd done after the first draft, and I was
Yeah.
completely happy with it,
There was
which
literally
never usually happens.
there was literally 2 pickups. That was it.
Mhm.
And it was just like a silly thing, like
Oh yeah, it was like a like footsteps or
footsteps.
whatever. But with the music as well, I had these ideas, but I didn't realize how much of an impact they would make until I edited it.
Yeah.
Like, for example, there is a scene in Reanimated 2 where the group are walking with Leon trying to find his mum because she went into like a kind of mental breakdown type thing. And during the course of this, Leon has a flashback. And obviously, having a flashback scene happen during an audio is very, very tough to do. And so I was just like, Jed, you have a son and a daughter. Can I please have your children to record these few lines, please? For me, I was just like, well, if you know, like you see any movie or whatever have any flashback scenes, it's like, they have them a bit of like an echo to them, like a reverb to them. And so I had this really like lovely solo piano music with the kids' lines put in with a few reverb, their laughs and everything. And honestly, it came out so well than I can imagine. It was
But
brilliant.
you also used the flashback as kind of like a daydreaming kind of thing
Yes.
as well. So it wasn't like that everyone had been transported back. We were just listening to a character's internal thoughts, really.
Yeah,
It's just
it
that
was just like in
he
his
gets
mind.
interrupted. So it's almost like we're following that character on the journey rather than doing a massive time jump.
Really well done. It's
It
really
is. It is.
It's
really
one of
well
my
done,
favorites, and I will say I've said this quite a few times. I think Reanimated 2 so far is one of my favorites that I have done. Very top of my list. Just because mainly that scene there. And I want it, like, I always try and push past the limit of audio. I want to make it enjoyable for everyone, but I also want to take people on a journey.
I'll say
I
this
want
because
to have that story behind them.
I'll say this because the one after that, the one in between those two, obviously you done was the touched one.
Mhm.
That's a challenge in itself because if you've got superpowers and you're trying to make them believable, but you can't see them.
Yes.
Connor probably knows this situation because obviously
Yep.
supers.
Mhm.
So you're trying to give people powers that aren't too visual, but you also
That was
like,
very hard.
Yeah.
Very hard
That's what
for me.
that's all you can do. That's all you can do because all you've got to, especially when you're trying to show something visual, all you can do is show what's the visual thing is, how it's affecting the environment and the people around it.
It's like
And
when Emma teleports, because obviously that's the first thing we see.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I think what helped
Here.
the most with that is the fact whenever we were writing this, we were on a Zoom. Or we were even messaging each other, and I was saying, like, she would ask me for input. This is before I even properly joined this with you. And I was just like,
whoops.
and there was quite a thing where we would text the same thing at the same time, and I'd be like, well, especially for Clarence's force fields, we texted at the exact same time. We were like, why does this sound like, like a fly zapper?
Like a fly zapper.
Yeah, something like that. But then obviously trying to find that without it sounding like a fly zapper. Usually it's messing around with audios.
Yeah, it's just speeding up and slowing it down and changing
And
the pitch.
then
It doesn't actually sound like what it is.
For Jane's telekinesis, I kind of wanted it to sound like, like a magnet sound. So it's like, it's like a zoop. I wanted it to sound like that. Kind of like she was pulling something. With Emma's teleportation, I wanted it to kind of be like a whoosh type sound, but I wanted to be, obviously traveling from the whorehouse to Trafalgar Square. I wanted it to have that bit of a whoosh type magical
I will
sound.
say this as well, because of how we've done it. So 1 and 2 were recorded at the same time. But I waited for Chelsea to edit 1, so then I had the same sound effects.
Oh yeah, I was just like, right, I'm going to put these all in a folder.
So basically, Chelsea decided all the sound effects, and then I just went, right, so that's the sound effect for that.
And then over time, they will progress, they will strengthen, they might even change a bit, but people will get the gist once they listen to it.
There's a storyline as much behind the sound effects as there is with the characters.
Oh yeah, of course, but the one thing I think which was the most challenging for us was Oliver. It was Oliver because Oliver basically whenever he gets angry he goes into like full Hulk mode.
His Hulk.
And we were like, and obviously Oliver is played by Joshua Griggs, who we nicknamed Fetus. He is a child. He is a child. And we're like, how do we do this? And then we're like, why don't we deepen his pitch a bit, but deepen it to a certain point where it sounds unnatural? Yeah. And we kind of mixed his original audio and his deepened audio, kind of, we split in the middle.
Yeah,
but
we overlapped them. Yeah.
And then it
overlapped
just
them.
You can still hear him in there. Yeah.
So we overlapped them, and then we like messed around with the volumes. So like sometimes you'd hear more of the lower voice, and sometimes you'd hear more.
Sometimes you hear his original.
I think I remember that from episode 2 when he's getting. When he's getting angry, you hear more of the distorted voice, but then when he's calming down from the distorted voice, you can hear
Josh,
It's all about the detail. It's all like for me. I always pay deep attention to detail. Obviously, the hidden honks, but I think that's mainly me. Whenever I was at tech, I used to be, I used to direct people, edit sound, edit lights. So I would always pay the attention to detail, like always, reading in between the lines. So it's like, that's definitely come in my favor whenever I'm editing. Oh yeah, you have to have the ear. It's the ear for it. Or rustling of papers or something. You have to create that atmosphere before. It's just the one thing about audios is that we are taking away, we're taking away the sight. We're taking away the sight of people because they're only listening. So we have to incorporate what they can't see into an audio and have create that atmosphere in their minds.
You have to stimulate the senses and not just have it be blank voices.
Oh yeah, like the amount of things that I do, like panning left to right, having footsteps come from the right to the left or right to the center. It's it's always about the attention to detail, and it's like sometimes whenever we do listen back to it, we're like, oh, might add something else in there just to do it, but I found that with the amazing subscribers and the Patreons that we have, we are doing something right, and people are liking the stuff that we do, which is just making us want to do more and more. I definitely want to do more. Of course, I'd love to do more, add a bit more hidden honks whenever I can. So yeah, it's just, thanks to the lovely people that support us and listen to our stuff. I'm forever grateful because they've definitely allowed me to grow in confidence with the stuff that I do. So if you want to hear more Chelsea Lagan edits, please comment under this lovely video and I will happily do them for you, whatever you want.
But yes, indeed. Shall we have a quick chat, Abby, about the other TT releases that have come out this month?
So TT-wise this month, we've also had Foiled come out, which is Dickensian episode 6?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I keep track.
In all my travels through time and space, there's one sound you can never forget. The one sound that haunts even my dreams. Or nightmares. The sound of worlds burning and screaming out into the void. I've heard it too many times. But in all that time, the chain of circumstances never involved being stood in a cafe on Earth, waiting in line for a bacon sandwich. Right, so now it's, what if Tin Foil decided to develop billions of years of sentience and go on a mad, murderous rampage?
Why not?
Because I'm a doctor, and I demand a bear class a monster!
Then you will have it, Time Lord.
Well, it's weird because I've done a Christmas special, so it's
Yes, that's technically episode 0, but technically the
yeah,
7th.
yeah, true.
Yeah.
True,
If
true.
it doesn't, right, it is worth saying it because I believe you've announced it already. Does it star Logan?
Logan is in. Logan starts next episode.
That's how you know it's not that episode number.
That's true.
But yeah, I quite enjoyed Foiled.
It was alright, wasn't it? It was craziness. It was craziness, and I will say this. So Matthew Chambers wrote that one, obviously. It's it was on. I was on a Zoom with Chambers probably about a year ago now, to be truthful.
Blimey.
And he said, "I'd love to write. Imagine if Tin Foil. We were probably drunk at the time, to be fair. Imagine if Tin Foil came alive." And I was like, right. And he was like
the
the nesting consciousness. And I was like, fair shout. And then in the October, when I was like, screw it, I'm going to do my, because Dickensian started off on TikTok.
It's always in TikTok.
It always starts on TikTok. And I it took some persuasion for me to turn it into an audio series. And in the October, when I was like, right, I'll do it under the condition that I don't have to write every episode, because as I said earlier, I don't tend to write a lot of Who. Well, the thing is, because when TT started, I did write a lot of Who, and then I kind of came to that conclusion that I really struggle to write it. So I kind of everybody else kind of writes Who around anything that I'm.
I think,
writing.
without giving too many spoilers about what I'm making, I gave you a Who episode to write recently, but with the pretense that it's mainly a historical, and then you were like, "This sounds wonderful," and that's how you were able to get it done because there wasn't really a Who-y element to it. It was more about the people
That's the thing,
in
isn't it? As soon as you're like,
history.
it's set in this era, and I'm like, yes, and then it's just like the stasis paradigm thing all over again, where you're writing like 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I said to Chambers, like, do you think you could write that episode? And he was like, yeah, sure.
Yeah,
and
okay.
It's just like he took this idea and completely flipped it. Because you think, oh, tinfoil monsters, like, that's hilarious. But if you listen to it, it's basically they're threatening to wrap the earth up like a baked potato, which is a hilarious concept, but also kind of frightening.
Frightening for the people on the Earth.
Well, yeah, but then there's a scene in that where I'm like, oh, because of the metal and stuff, it affects the gravitational pull, and then all the Earths in the in our like universe or whatever start like colliding with the Earth and all this stuff. It's like you're like, what? But I won't say the spin towards the end of the episode because I don't want to.
Whoa!
Like,
Sorry, you spun me.
I span you, but yeah, it does. It's one of those ones that definitely makes you think. And I will say this: it's the end of episode. It's the end of season 1 of Dickensian. So we have a lovely sort of cliffhanger at the end of it as well. So definitely, if you haven't listened, go and listen.
So will there be a break then?
No, because it's me, and I don't have the ability to do breaks unless it's Paternoster.
Yeah, which I feel like you kind of just had to say to yourself, I need to do this.
Yeah,
I need to take a break.
So, without giving anything away, we have... So, the Doctor After Me is in our 60th. So they need to be out before November. So I'm having to like kind of do a gentle jog along the like TT stage, kind of backwards and forwards with Dickensian, and make sure that she's all out by the time the
Why am I
special
imagining
comes out.
Dickensian jogging down the road but getting a stitch?
Oh, 100%.
And just holding her side going,
She starts out all guns blazing, and then halfway through she's like, oh I can't go anymore. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
so unfit.
Yeah. There's actually
But-
earlier when you started talking about it, you said nesting consciousness. You said that exactly how Dickensian says it.
I think
Right,
it's
that
like my
just as you
Doctor
were
Who
talking about it.
settings. It's
Yeah,
like
you should-
you're talking about Doctor Who now, so therefore
Mm.
you have to embody your doc. I think a lot of people do that though when they have fan doctors.
Yeah, whenever you hear me talking about what I've got planned for Doctor Who, suddenly cravats like out and talking. But I was doing that. I was
Like-
actually because without derailing the conversation too much from this, you know that I had Daniel Patton staying at mine for a couple of days recently.
Yeah.
And when I was talking to him about the plans I've got going on, I was suddenly talking. He went, "Should probably be wearing a cravat right now," and I'm like, "Hmm." So I was just talking. I was talking very much like my doctor, and it's kind of weird. But yeah, I think we all do that.
You do naturally slip. You do naturally slip
Yeah.
into the accent. It's
what
weird.
what I do though really like about every Dickensian episode is that it's been a really good variety of settings and locations. Like I like the idea that you've just of course you did a historical for your first episode. Nothing surprising there.
Obviously.
But then you went immediately from that to space station.
Yeah.
And you've done all sorts as well. Like, you've done in the middle of a nightclub getting like drugged up.
Getting drugged up.
Which after that, that made.
Oh, so yeah, we've literally gone from Charles Dickens as a kid to Space Station to Woolies in the 90s to Woolies in the 80s, 90s dance club, and then obviously Foiled, which is set somewhere in Yorkshire. Everybody had Yorkshire accents. It was really
Was it meant
hard.
to be a nice little cafe that they were in?
It was meant to be a night. I pictured like Roy's Rolls. It was basically everybody had a northern accent in it, and it was really hard not to become 13.
I don't know why it was nice because I was listening to it when everyone was like knowing the doctor. I was like, I like to think that she's in the middle of traveling. Someone just stops off and gets like a bacon batty or something like that.
Just goes up to somewhere in York
and just befriended this particular one.
By Roy's Rolls, yeah.
So all right,
but,
cheers.
Right. So there's lots of outtakes for Foiled where I kept becoming 13, mainly because I was surrounded by people doing northern accents.
No, you were like, oh, the TARDIS.
Best friend Jazz. It's like wrong accent. The amount of times there's this massive. Obviously, there's always a massive doctor speech, and 3 times I had to start again because I kept saying like "hosh" and stuff like that. And I was like, "What am I doing? Like, I'm Dickensian right now. Like, for Christ's sake."
What other releases have we had?
So Queer Doctor's on a roll.
Oh yes, that came back, didn't it? After its fortnight break.
Yeah.
Had a big reveal there for the series.
Yeah.
And what was it? Gates of Hell?
Gates to Hell was the one before the break, and then Striker Pose is the one that's just come out recently for us.
Yeah.
And then they have one coming out soonish, which is another Matt Chambers one, which is Thy Flesh Consumed.
As of recording this right now, part 1 came out an hour ago.
There you go.
Wow, I've just set a time. Now you can go back and look at that episode and feel like that's what they were doing.
So myself and Chelsea and you're in Striker Pose as well, aren't you?
I play newscaster.
Yay!
I'm in the first scene and the first scene only. But when recording took place, because it's half live and half record and send in, I was voicing a couple lines. God, do you remember when I had to read in for the MC?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I didn't
That
really
was
read ahead.
hilarious.
Yes, it was. Yes, like I had to read them for that, and I was just like, I didn't read the script prior because I was just doing some reading in, and then who else was I playing? I was playing the Brigadier as well.
I can't even remember,
think.
but you had to
So
read
I
it
know
for
there
a
was
lot of people, and it was quite funny.
Yeah, like I think I played Melvin way too seriously, and then I listened to the episode, and I went, "Oh, okay, Strax plays it completely differently." I was like, "We cannot help the Doctor right now," and then Strax would come in.
Doctor right now.
Yeah, that, and then I was just like, "Oh, I got that completely wrong." Okay, cool. But yeah,
yeah,
the
Strikes.
newscaster was
Yeah.
the only one that I even. The thing is, what was funny was I did that on the day, but I'd already recorded and sent it in. So I was like, I was just reading him for myself again.
I will say this: if I would advise people go listen to Striker Pose, one because you should listen to all the Queer Doctor series because it's the Queer Doctor. But without giving stuff away, you need to have listened to this thing for it to relate to other stuff on our channel.
Connectivity.
So, Miss Lagan.
Hello again.
It's no spoilers because you're on the cover.
Yeah.
Toymaker, darling.
Yes, Toymaker. Hello, my dear Doctor.
I am warning you, Toymaker.
Oh, a warning! I haven't had those in such a long time. You think you could ever do me any harm? I am immortal. I am always in your mind, and nothing is going to stop me. So you should be careful what you say, because...
Give me one good reason I should snap your little neck.
Get off me!
Yes, Toymaker is back. She first, whenever I was cast as Toymaker, I thought, this will be a wife one. Winter Horrorland, yes, and here, lad. Obviously, I'm not. I'm sorry to all the viewers listening. I am not a Doctor Who know-it-all. I did not know that Toymaker was actually a person. I didn't know. I didn't know. I'm sorry. I didn't know. So
the disappointment in Shadows' voice.
I know.
That's like my favorite. That's my favorite Doctor's basically main villain.
I know. I didn't know, sir. I didn't know.
Why
but
didn't
no,
you
I was told.
research?
I didn't think it was a real person, so I didn't think I had to do any research. Jim never told me it's Jim's fault. But so Toymaker first appeared from, well, my version of the Toymaker first appeared in Winter Horrorland, and whenever I was coming up with the character, Jim and me discussed it, and he says like basically the Queen of Hearts type, but a very bratty Wayne that always gets what he wants. And I thought, you know what, I can embody this. It's not going to be a problem. And so I decided to give her a posh English accent for the fun of it. And I was like, well, Doctor, hello there. It's me, the Celestial Toymaker. And that was about it. And now, so she has made her next appearance. Throughout a wee bit of queer here and there, but Strike a Pose was the definite one where she was just like, I didn't win my game, Doctor. Let's play again, shall we? And we're just like, yeah. So she's just come back for vengeance. And it was so fun. Toymaker is such a fun character to play. And you definitely, like, people listening, you definitely have to listen to Strike a Pose. It's so fun. So fun. And she also makes another slight appearance, doesn't she, Abigail?
Yes, but we're not going into that.
Yes, even though it's already out, so you just have to listen to more TT things.
Cliffhangers, darling, that's all I'm saying.
Cliffhangers.
Sound the alarms. Spoilers.
Spoilers.
Yeah, that's us covered for the for this month, I think.
Yes, a very calm month.
Yes.
Last month we were talking for about half an hour about 7 things. It was like, goodness gracious, editing that was a.
Oh, I
it
bet.
was like,
I
so this
bet.
time, I'm writing notes this time.
Ooh.
Make things a
Go
lot
you.
easier for me. Thank you.
Go you, sir.
I appreciate the support. Well,
But I'm very
nonetheless,
glad to be the guest for the ToverTon podcast. It's very fun.
It was obviously it's gonna have to be you, wasn't it, for this one
well,
particularly?
we already we did the first one. Well, we talked about in the first one about how basically we were like, so how did we get into audio? It's all this and that and blah blah blah, and then we met Chelsea, and except that they're like, except that it's like maybe like 2 to 3 years gap for us both.
Yeah, because I started working Overton Audios first. I was Julia Breslin first. Oh, young Chelsea.
Baby Chelsea.
And then I appeared in a thing, like a Zoom, a script read by accident because I wasn't supposed to be there, but I got bored and I was just like, can I just join in and listen to you all? Just so I know, how the script goes, basically. And how...
Jenny Flint.
and I didn't speak throughout the whole entire thing until the very end.
Oh,
and
God,
that
I've
is
not
how...
done that voice in such a long time, blimey.
Oh, I know. But that's how me and Abby met. And yeah, so I'm like the amalgamation of Overton and TT Productions, making Toverton. I am the love child. Just saying.
Oh, Lord. And on that note...
Thank you very much, Chelsea, again.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Anytime. Anytime.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. It's actually been really fun. I love doing like wee podcasts and interviews and everything. So fun to talk about all these projects that we're doing and the possible future. Ooh, spoilers.
It's not Halloween yet, I don't think.
No.
I wish.
If only.
Overton Audios presents.
I've got you. There. I've got you.
Who are you?
It's me, James. I suppose things are different on the other side.
Of the Nexus Point?
You're exactly where you stood before, but in another universe.
We need your help, and the Crimson Hunter is no longer available.
Put her over there.
I recognize that voice.
Dampeners remain at 100% efficiency.
But you're both the Doctor.
And you killed our future self. And now you will pay.
He watched you kill the Doctor. Then, Agent West worked quickly to save us. He got to all of us, before the temporal shockwave washed over us.
I used to be the Crimson Hunter, yes, but in my universe, my life, I ended that part of my life.
But this is what I have left.
How did you get on board?
I have my ways.
You have no name.
Where are you taking me?
Far away.
I was going to be with you forever.
I know.
And that's the way it's always been. The Doctor and Miss Breslin.
Always remember, I am with you in your mind.
What the hell?
It can't be. Veritas.
The Crimson Hunter, Volume 4. Coming the 11th of February 2023 at 12 p.m. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. I am here with Chelsea Lagan and George Gydra. Hello, people.
Hello.
How are you both?
Emotional. Very emotional.
Indeed, and George?
How are you, G?
I am good. I am also a tad emotional. But I can imagine Chelsea's definitely a lot more emotional than me right now. But, yeah.
Very much so. Very much so.
It is the final volume of Crimson Hunter. We've just had a
I
quick...
don't believe it.
Yeah,
I don't believe it.
Yeah, we've just had a quick re-listen to the trailer and such, and yeah, it's certainly an interesting volume. How long has it been? Like, basically, we made the first Crimson Hunter volume during the first lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
That was a weird one, yeah. And now we've developed it. Originally meant to stop at volume 2, but then we've made these extra 2 volumes, and as evident from the trailer, we've seen that we're obviously not in the correct universe. We're in a universe where things are a lot worse. The Crimson Hunter, there is no Julia Breslin. It's just Crimson Hunter, still played by yourself, Chelsea, but a universe where,
obviously,
yeah, a universe where the Crimson Hunter is now just is now full time. There is no more Julia, and obviously we've seen there as well. We've got the blonde Doctor being played by George, a very much darker version. We could not entirely correct it, but
you tried, but
yeah. How do you feel, Chelsea, that without like the final volume's about to come out?
I don't want to acknowledge it. I don't like anytime you mention it, I'm like, nope, it's not gonna happen. It's not happening. No, it's just for the fact that Julia has been a very big part of my craft, my career. She's the one that started, like, you're the one who literally was just like, oh, can you play this character and whatever. It was only supposed to be a couple of lines and that was it. And now, nearly 6 years later, here we are.
Yeah.
And it's like,
didn't we say last time you were on, it was July 2017? I just messaged going, could you just quickly say, who are you? Very quickly. And that was it. You were just a one-line cameo.
Yeah, because we were filming downloaded, something like that.
Yeah.
And it was literally like, oh, can you say these lines? And I was like, yeah, I'll say these lines. And then obviously this is just like spiraled into this whole thing 6 years later, that I've literally gone on this this voice acting journey quite extensively. And it's just crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And like letting go and saying goodbye to this character is just like it's like my longest running character, and probably the longest running character that I'll ever do. And I just have such like an emotional connection to this character. It's like, no, Connor, make a couple of more audios about Julia, please. I can't let go.
Yeah, it's just because there was a time I remember when because we if you look at it, obviously as we're recording this, it's January. You've been Julia Breslin for 4 years after we'd recorded Julia's death. And you like 2 years you were Julia before the death scene came in, and now 4 years later we're still playing it. Yeah, we
literally it was just like Julia recording into her phone. Now I'm Julia recording into a microphone.
Julia is eternal. Long live Julia Breslin.
Love Julia Breslin. That is the quote. That is how it shall be.
How did it work out? Was it because you must have recorded from what I looked at from the original files, you recorded your death scene in February 2019, and then it came out in November 2019. So I'm trying to think. So was it really that long of a gap until Crimson Hunter? We must have done something else. I know that you were we did a episode called Transcendence, which was a big 3-parter, and you cameoed in that as kind of like when Cravat was dealing with the loss and he tried to use something called a reality circuit. He tried to bring you back ghost in that scene. But I'm trying to think if there was anything else you worked on together during that, because there was a gap there where
we did Time Traveler during that time as well.
But
then obviously when Crimson Hunter happened, it's like, I guess like Crimson Hunter is like that bit of like I would say, a bit of like, your older audience type thing, because there's more cursing and much more things. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Trying to sort of like just run the line with, because originally, I think when they did the first volume, the first episode that was written by Thomas Aidan James was very, still very much fitted into the Doctor Who realm. Dan was writing something with a little bit of swearing in. But then when I'd script edited episode 1, we'd come up with the idea for Julia and Marcus. So when I wrote that, Dan was like, well, I have to script edit now. And then when Thomas heard his episode back, he was like, what? Hang on. When was it? Like, this is but no, that's the thing. I think Crimson Hunter has really helped. And not that we didn't do this also, but with Cravat, but I think Crimson Hunter really gave the opportunity to add more depth and humanize Julia Breslin a lot more, because certainly with seeing her origins of how she joined the Earth Defense Squad, became the Crimson Hunter, and also the relationship she'd had with different people, and how that's developed over time. Like, certainly, like, I feel like you'd only really spoken very briefly over, I think, a Zoom call, maybe just before, maybe even after, but the chemistry that you and Luke Lane had as Devlin for the first volume, like, you'd never really spoken, and it was just really, really great.
Yeah, that's quite true.
Yeah, and the fact that the Doctor wasn't around, especially for the first volume, it was all pre-Cravat anyway. It was a really good opportunity to see what this person was like in the greater, wider world. And then
there's a very big difference between Julia before the Doctor and Julia after the Doctor. Which we definitely see within these episodes, these final episodes. We see the very big difference. And that's something that I want to achieve.
Yeah, exactly. And like for example, the second volume, the Doctor's not very happy, sends you back to your past to confront it, but you also get to see the growth of having met the Doctor. You're like, everyone's like, but you're the Crimson Hunter, you let this happen, and you're like, I'm sad that I let this happen, and they're like, what? Come on, it's you. And then with volume 4, certainly this final volume, you're faced in a universe where basically it's not really a spoiler here, it's said from the very first 5 minutes in the volume, it's a universe where Cravat died instead of Julia. So it's just swapping the dynamic, and you get a chance to see what happens to that version of Julia as a result of losing the Doctor, the only light that was left in her life after that, and you get to see what she became. But also, that's why it's really nicely contrasted with Julia from the Prism side of things, going over there and seeing how they're both becoming polar opposites of one another as well.
It's like with Cravat, Julia, literally, it was just like, wiping the slate clean, and she could actually just be Julia around the Doctor. She didn't have to be like the title that she earned of Crimson Hunter. She didn't have to keep up an appearance or anything. She just had to be Julia. That's all that she could be. And that's what I really liked. Like, especially in these episodes, that's what I really wanted to show. It's just like the very difference between Julia from the very beginning, before Doctor, and then afterwards. Which I found quite difficult, very difficult.
Yeah.
But just listening back to like the audios from the very beginning of Julia and trying to channel back then.
There was one that was made, which, do you remember the audio? There was an audio book that you were going to read in for, but just didn't have the time to, that was about Julia. In that story, it said from Julia's perspective, I read in for it more of a third person now, but in that, the Doctor gets knocked out and someone's about to do surgery on him. And in that audiobook, you get, obviously, because you can be more talk about the feelings of the character, Julia becomes the Crimson Hunter in the Doctor's presence whilst he's unconscious. So there's this really nice moment where she gets her instinct, just throws a knife in the guy's head and kills him, and then just has to hide the crime completely. And then there's someone there who's
that's wholesome.
Yeah, but then
audio is very wholesome.
She has to hide the crime for the rest of the story. And then there's one person who goes, "You do realize I recognize you?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna have to kill you if you tell him." But that's why I think it has a nice. But what I mean? It's like you see that nice development, and I'm glad that we ended up making that audio book, because it's like, even though we know the Doctor finds out eventually, it was a nice story where it's hidden from him, and she's having to like dance around the fact whilst trying not to be that person. I think we've been able to really develop the character. Do you remember when she was just this, before I came up with the idea for the assassin, she was just someone who worked on a space station. It was just like 5 men came.
That was basically it. Because I remember whenever you're like, I remember you texted me and be like, "Chelsea, I have to tell you something about Julia," and I was like, "What?" And you send me parts of the script, and I'm like, "Who is she? What has she done? Who is this person?" And then you told me, and I was like, "Shit, no, this cannot happen." You went into full detail about explaining it to me, and I was like, "This is who I've been this entire time." I feel so dirty. What? What?
But it's also really
But,
interesting as well because you know the mantra of the Doctor is to never like soldiers or assassins, but the like Cravat's arguably main companion with Julia is the best assassin ever, like the most efficient killer, and he's like, that's like, and that's like, but that's
Yeah,
kind of nice.
yes,
as well.
Queen, literally slay.
Yeah.
Slay, Queen.
Well, that's the thing. The Doctor literally just does turn to her sometimes, go, Daleks are coming, get the guns. And she's like, okay, and she just runs and goes and gets like they fight in a war together. They fight in the Federation War.
They definitely grow together throughout their whole time together as, you know, the Doctor and his companion. You definitely see the growth of them both. At the fact, you know, the way I describe it is that Julia becomes more humanized. She's not just this weapon anymore. She becomes her own person because she spent so long like being the Crimson Hunter, like an absolute like machine, a weapon, and then she just becomes more human and like what she used to be, with feelings and everything. And then the Doctor becomes more accepting of who she is. But still, I'm sad to say goodbye to her because I love her. I love Julia.
We're at a point now where I feel with this final volume, there's, you know, doing any more would really kind of, we'd get bored because there'd be nothing new to do.
Yeah, that's true.
You'd
And
end
you
up,
don't want to lessen like any like development you've done. You don't want to lessen that.
yeah, like that's the thing
I think right now, you know, with Julia, I think this is like this will probably be the perfect time to, you know, have her, you know, her end, you know, just, you know, I think it is a perfect time for it anyway. I think if we did do it any longer, it would, you know, just be dragging things out too much.
Yeah.
Like, even though she did die like 4 years ago, but you know, we don't count that.
But it's one of those things of you'd not want to go because you're like, well, I think it's done. You want to like, and be feeling like, what else are we going to do? You want to leave whilst there's still a little bit of love, you know, there's still love in it, because then you appreciate what was there, you know. But yeah, and you know, seeing as George is here, sorry George,
Hi.
we might as well have a
Sorry,
quick
George, your turn now.
about Blondie in this. He's obviously, you know, Julia and Blonde met in volume 3, and that has kick-started really Blonde's appearances in Prism. But in this one, you're not actually playing Blonde, that same Blonde Doctor, are you? You're playing.
Oh, we have a third Blonde Doctor in the mix now.
Yeah. Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
So I didn't know. Obviously, I knew I had volume 3. And then you said to me, "Oh, you were just messaging me one day and said, oh, you know, I'm doing the final Crimson Hunter volume." I was like, "Oh, cool." And you went, "Do you want Blonde to be in it?" And I was just there like, "Go on, sir, tell me more." And then you explained to me the concept. One, it was great to perform as an acting thing, because again, I know we joked about how you couldn't fully corrupt him, but getting to play this more darker, almost like, you know, less sympathetic version of Blonde was really nice for me to play. And I mean, I've said this before, during the recording, there are some bits where, because obviously you can tell he's the one struggling to be ruthless out of the different Doctors here. So there are actually points in the recording where I was genuinely starting to cry while delivering the lines. But because also the thing is, it meant a lot for me as well. Because one, I mean, it was just fun to do, and I love working with both of you. I genuinely love working with both of you. But it was also a case of Crimson Hunter's really special to me, because obviously that was the thing that brought the Blonde Doctor back. So getting to be there in the end was a big deal for me, especially the fact that I get a lot of scenes with Chelsea. So it was nice to have the Blonde Doctor and Miss Breslin team up again, because, you know, as much as we didn't record it live, I just thought me and Chelsea worked really well off each other. It's one of the big reasons I asked Chelsea to play my companion on Instability. Just a shameless plug. But no, it was great to do. But yeah, I got very emotional because I think having listened into enough stuff that Chelsea's done, or been there live during recordings, I'm literally just there like, yeah, I can imagine how she'll deliver this line. And I'm like, okay, I'm getting emotional now just thinking about how this scene would go, especially because in a way it feels like the blonde doctor is essentially Julia's companion through some of this, which I was like, so this is what it feels like. But at the same time, I was just like, I really liked that dynamic, and again, seeing the development of Julia is fantastic. And I think if you've definitely ending this character with a bang.
You're making me emotional, lads.
I can't help it. I'm sappy.
I will quickly add as well. There are things I want to say, but I feel like now Chelsea, the waterworks are gonna.
Go ahead.
I was going to say there was no one else better who could play the Crimson Hunter or Julia Breslin. Oh no! Oh no!
I'm fine.
Absolute perfection.
Oh
and,
no!
If when the blonde doctor came back, I'm so glad the first person he teamed up with was Julia Breslin.
Yeah.
Oh, Chelsea.
Oh no! Honestly, it's been such an emotional journey. An amazing journey, because without Connor and without Julia, I wouldn't be here where I am today. And I wouldn't be literally, I am so proud of myself. This is the biggest achievement that I have had with being this character, and literally Julia has taken me to above and beyond, have made me work with these amazing individuals, working with so many people in Overton Audios TT, and possibly future peeps as well. And honestly, I love her. I love her so much. So definitely I will be posting many photos of many tears of happiness and sadness whenever it definitely comes to it. But no, I love her. I absolutely love her so much. Love you, Jules, Queen, Slay.
Yeah, you've been a part of Overton Audios before it even really started to kick off. You've been there since the very beginning. Really, well, bar 2 audio dramas that we've ever made. There were 2 audio dramas we made where you weren't there, not necessarily just about being in the audio, but just generally what you might call a part of the Overton family. And then literally third audio we ever made was your first ever appearance, and here we are 300 audio dramas later.
It's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. Time flies when you're having fun, boy.
If I can just say quickly, I just want to say this, because you're talking about obviously your journey, Chelsea. I just want to say, just speaking from all the people you're generally one of the best actors I've ever worked with. And I just want to make that very clear. So you should be incredibly proud of all the stuff you've done. So I'm really glad you acknowledged that.
You're making me cry again. Oh no, thank you, my darling. Honestly, working with so many people, oh my god, so many talented, very talented individuals, including yourself. You talented bean, you both talented beans. Oh, emotional Chelsea tonight. Welcome to Overton Audios. Amazingness, wow.
We're all going to see each other in a couple of weeks, aren't we? So we're all going to meet up and have.
I know, and I'll be an emotional wreck as well. Absolutely emotionally damaged.
Connor will just bring the finished audio and be like, "Do you want to listen to it early?" And we're like, "Connor, no, just let's be happy."
No, run away.
Well, yeah, that's the thing.
Stay focused.
As you heard in the trailer, we do go back to the final moments as well. It all completes at the same point it finished at 4 years ago. All comes full circle.
Because Connor wants to rip out everybody's heart.
I was showing you, wasn't I? I was showing you edits of it, and we were both just getting tearful again, listening to the same scene. And of course, we just for the sake of audio quality, because since then we've got better mics, we had to re-record.
Yeah.
And when we re-recorded that scene,
we re-recorded
did it pitch perfect again.
I know, but that's the thing. It was just me. I wanted to try get it the same as I possibly could, but obviously with little hints of difference. But one thing as well, whenever I was recording that, obviously was crying beforehand as usual. But I didn't listen the original audio where that happened. I didn't listen to it. I literally knew it by memory.
Yeah.
And I knew I was just like, you know what? I can't say this in any different way. I really couldn't, because it was just, for me, that was the original emotion that I had, and I wouldn't want to change that. I never wanted to change that. And I remember putting, obviously, the new ones that we recorded that were the exact same lines and everything, well, near enough the same lines, and the very original ones. We put it together, and it was literally in sync.
Yeah, we
And
overlaid
it was like
it, didn't we?
crazy.
Yeah, we overlaid it with the new lines, and I think what I ended up doing in the end was I kind of actually used a bit of both in the end, just to see how it would sound, and you couldn't tell the difference there either. But yeah, when you put the like the original edit and the new edit for this volume together, even though it's literally been completely we've completely re-recorded it, and I like to think, obviously, because not that I claim to be the best actor in the world, but I like to think I've hopefully improved somewhat in terms of what
You're amazing, my darling.
Oh, thank you. No, I listen back to mine. I'm just like, God, couldn't I have done any better? I found like I was just like, oh no.
You did perfect.
Okay.
You did perfect. Honestly.
Thank you.
Like, you remember whenever that first came out and you first showed me like the crying pictures.
It's my favorite. I will say, even though you're crying in it, it's like, I don't know why, the whole aesthetic of what you look like in the photo is just hilarious to me. You've just got out of the shower. You're sat there in your bathroom with your the towel done up with your hair, and you're just sat there crying.
You know what? For this podcast, if you wanted to insert that picture, you can insert it now.
That will just be
I
on
give
the
you
cover.
permission.
Maybe I'll do like a highlight
that
post.
Photo.
I'll do like a highlight post of all the
highlight.
photos we've ever sent to one another of edits and stuff.
Or just replace
include your crying ones too.
Yeah, I'm
you
going
have to include your crying ones too.
And what we'll do is, when we meet up in a couple of weeks, we'll get like one final photo together. Because
no, I'll cry. But we'll do it, even though I will be crying. I'll bring tissues.
Yeah.
Oh, it'll be so good. So good.
Indeed.
Goodbye, my lover. Goodbye, my friend. Oh, poor Julia. Love her lots. Absolute queen.
Is there anything else that anybody wanted to talk about, or I've got anything more we'd say?
I'm excited.
Stage for the volume, but other than that, I'm not intending to Chelsea cry again. But of course, like I said earlier, would never have cast anybody different. It's been an amazing journey. It's I couldn't have done it without anybody else, and wouldn't have had it any other way.
I'm not crying.
Oh.
I'm not crying. I'm crying.
You're going red.
Your biggest acting challenge.
Yeah.
The red CAZOO.
No, it cannot happen. No.
Yeah, and the hair starts to turn red.
All I'll say is I'm excited for people to hear it, and I'm excited to hear all the other projects Chelsea will be in, whether that's with Overton, when Instability, TT, just
yeah. I wouldn't say you're leaving.
I dabble in the bit.
Yeah, you're certainly not leaving Overton.
Get rid of me?
No.
You can't fucking get rid of me.
No. It's
she wouldn't let you get rid of her.
No.
I wouldn't let you. Nobody else would let you, I don't think. But no, it has been a whole journey. It's been an incredible journey with Julia, and again, I wouldn't have it any other way. Like, again, she means so much to me. And finally, like, even though it's heartbreaking to me, having her have send off, and literally, and when people listen to it, just such an amazing ending. And I just hope that everyone who listens to it enjoys it. And I also wanted to thank everybody for being on this journey with me as Julia. And I'm not going to cry.
Your biggest acting challenge, don't cry.
Right, gee, I'm not that good. Not that good. Can't stop crying now. But no, I really do appreciate everybody who's been on this journey with me. And, here's to more Chelsea doing random characters for stuff, but probably in her own accent as usual. But let's go. That's it.
Random Chelsea pop-ups.
That's it. I'm just going to jump in every now and again.
Well, once again, thank you both. And
thank you very much, my darling.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Indeed, I jump back to myself in the future in the podcast. Welcome back to the podcast, and I think we're nearly at the end of the podcast,
We beget.
Yes. You feeling hungry at all, Abby?
The heat's gotten to my head. It's too warm.
It certainly has gotten to your head. But no, in all fairness, pretty good podcast. Very good review over TT Productions and what they've been up to. All the TTers rushing around, making things, making good quality audio dramas for you, the listener. Woo! And of course, there's me in the corner going, yes, I also support. And all this sort of stuff. But nonetheless, it has been a good month. What do you think's coming up in the next month, Abigail?
So we have a couple more episodes of Queer waiting in the wings of TT. Obviously, we have Dickensian with her new Compagnone. Fun times. And yeah, I think that's it for the channel. That's actually going up on the channno wise, and then
that's it for the channel.
That's it for the going up on the channel.
Oh no!
No, that's it
it's
going
all over.
up on the channel. But as well,
Yes.
at some point soonish, we will have a new episode of Alternate War. Now starring Jack Reeves. Whoop whoop. So yeah, stay tuned for that. No date as normal because it's me and I'm not very well organised. So yeah, that's what's going to be up in the next few weeks on TT Productions.
Oh, very good. And of course, what other conclusion would be better than with a reflection of today's podcast, or this month's podcast even. So we've talked about Molly 2, nice little reminder of Behind the Duvet, and how we all were immediately after that, and me making a fool of myself. Haha. Had to make that the double upload.
That was your TT debut, though. In all fairness,
yeah, that was my first role, and I did that like sending lines, didn't I? It was you freaking out like help, and I was like, "Hello,
exactly.
I'm awake. I'm awake at the early hours. Hello," and all this sort of stuff. I think I sent you. To be honest, I think I was pretty good with sending in the lines. I think you had them within 10
definitely.
minutes.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Hooray! And then we had a nice talk with Chelsea Lagan herself about Reanimated 2 and her general contributions to TT and how it's all built up to this moment. And then, of course, a nice little pre-recorded segment that I recorded with Charles at the beginning of the year about Crimson Hunter Volume 4. Either way, Chelsea Lagan special! Yeah!
Yay! The Blue CAZOO! The power
Blue
of.
CAZOO. Yes. And the Blue Phoenix. Because of
look out for those. Look, I keep saying look. It's not look. Listen out for those hidden honks. Honestly, Chelsea Lagan edits have got their own playlist. So go through, have a listen, point out where you see those. Hear those honks.
Cool. Well, I think Abby's lost her mind. So we're going to say goodbye and see you next month for whatever we will talk about. Ooh.
Goodbye. Thank you for listening.
Farewell.